Okay, I will call the meeting to order and ask for any declarations of conflict of interest, proper time. Approval for the minutes of the previous meeting. Dave Dew. Wayne Morris. I'll now read the application. Notice of public hearing application for minor variance. Brett Van Kessel, 7515 Burnham Line. File number A04-24. Purpose of the application is to allow for a 70 by 100 grain elevator on the rear yard of the property. The proposed grain elevator requires variances related to the regulations associated with agricultural 1A1 zone, but more specifically, the proposed grain elevator would result in a rear yard setback to approximately 10 feet. This does not meet the required rear yard setback of 22.97 feet for agricultural uses in section 5(1)A of the Township of Warwick zoning bylaw. Take notice that an application under the above file will be heard by the Committee of Adjustment on August 13th, 2024 at 3 p.m. Any persons may attend the public hearing and or make written or oral representation either in support or in opposition to the proposed minor variance. The meeting will take place in person at the Township of Warwick Municipal Office, 5280 Nauvoo Road, Watford. The meeting will also be live streamed on the Township YouTube channel. I'll now ask the Secretary to read the dates and the places of notice of public meeting. Ask the Secretary to read the dates and play. Yeah, I do.
Yes. Notices were sent by regular mail and posted on the property on July 24th, 2024.
I'll ask Secretary to read letters submission supporting or opposing the application.
There was one submission from St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, and they said a portion of the subject property is regulated by the Conservation Authority under OREG 4124. The proposed development appears to be outside the regulated area, so they have no concerns with the proposed minor variance.
Thank you. I'll now ask the planner to explain the planner's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee and members of the public, my name is Jared Preston. I'm a planner for the County of Lambton as well as the Township of Warwick. And today I'm presenting on application number A04-2024 for 7515 Burnham Line. The applicant is Brent Van Kessel, owner of 7515 Burnham Line. He's seeking a minor variance to construct a proposed approximate 70 by 100 grain elevator in the rear yard to be in compliance with the Township of Warwick zoning bylaw. So in this slide, I'm showing that the required setback as per the requirements in the for the A1 zone is 7 meters. And what is being proposed today is 3.05 meters. So it's about a 56.4 variance of the required 7 meters. It's just some site photos that I took of the site. This is the site photo of the proposed grain elevator facility. This is a site photo of the entrance to the Van Kessel elevators. This is a site photo of the rear yard of the property. That's a site photo of the agricultural lands that are located across the road. This is an aerial photo that just shows the subject property on 7515 Burnham Line. It is zoned A1, agricultural 1, and allows a business. It permits a business such as this. This is an aerial photo showing the proposed grain elevator in the purple square right there, and then the proposed distance of 3 meters right there in bold. Just going to get to the slide. Planning staff found that this proposed minor variance is consistent with all applicable policies, including the Planning Act, the Provincial Policy Statement, the County of Lambton Official Plan, the Township of Warwick Official Plan, and zoning bylaw. This application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance, and it meets all other setback, height, lot coverage requirements set on the township's zoning bylaw. Allowing the construction of a grain elevator here will not create any additional noise, traffic, or cause any visual disruptions to neighboring properties. This variance is also deemed minor, as this addition for the proposed grain elevator is a continuation of a permitted use, which benefits the agricultural industry. Planning staff see no potential negative impacts to neighboring properties, as there is no dwelling located near the rear lot line where the proposed grain elevator is to be constructed. Staff recommends that Committee of Adjustment today approve minor variance application A04-2024. And I believe that there is a condition added to that as well, which I'm just gonna go to. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So after the presentation, building sent me this condition that's gonna go, that needs to go on this application, and that a 1 hour fire rating be required on the south wall of the proposed feed building with a 3 meter setback. So upon review of building permit, that's what the department will require. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I would ask ask Brent if he has any comments or anything you would like to say. If so, come on up to the mic and push the button, please.
Okay, well, I don't really have any comments unless there's any opposition. I guess I meet all the requirements and I'm just looking to maximize space on the existing yard, really is all I'm looking for. Thanks.
Anyone in attendance have any questions or comments, please state your name and come to the mic prior to speaking. Seeing none, any of the committee have any questions? Wayne?
Brent, do you guys own the farm behind also?
No, I don't. My aunt does in my own.
Which in, okay.
Yeah.
That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Nope, yep.
I have a question.
Right, so is this a feed mill? You're gonna make feed it here?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's all.
yeah, it's just an enclosed building to make feed. Yeah, okay.
Dave? As there's no further questions, the committee hereby closes this portion of the meeting. Notice of the decision will be mailed out within 10 days from the date of the committee's decision. The appeal period is 20 days after the date the decision is mailed. After that date, if there are no appeals filed, then the application becomes final and the property owner will send a notice. Thanks everyone for attending. Committee, what would you like to do?
I'd like to make a motion that the Committee of Adjustment accept the application from Brent Van Kessel A04-24.
Wayne,
I second that motion.
with the commitment or the conditions that the planner has provided.
Yeah, with the conditions.
All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Now you get to hear me ramble on again. Public notice severance application, Land Division Committee, application B-01-24. Take notice that an application has been made by Annette Van Denther, owner of 7254 Burnham Line, Township of Warwick, for surplus farm dwelling severance to sever an approximate 2-acre, 0.08 hectare from the existing 100-acre, 40.4 hectare lot. Take further notice that the Land Division Committee for the Township of Warwick has appointed Tuesday, August 13th, 2024 at 3 p.m. for the purpose of the public meeting into this matter. This meeting will take place in person at the Township of Warwick Municipal Office, 5280 Navajo Road, Watford. The meeting will also be live streamed on the Township YouTube channel. Secretary, read the dates and places and notice of public meeting.
Notices were sent by regular mail and posted on the property on July 24th, 2024.
Heather, do we have any letters, submissions supporting or opposing the application?
There were 2 received, one from the Conservation Authority who has no concerns, and one from Enbridge that says that they do have service lines running within the area which may or may not be affected by the proposed severance. Should the proposed severance impact the services, it may be necessary to terminate the gas service and relocate the line according to the new property boundaries.
Thank you. I will ask the planner to explain the planner's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee and members of the public. I am presenting on application number B-01-2024, which is on 7254 Burnham Line. Applicants are Annette and John Van Denther, which are in attendance today. They're proposing to sever approximately a 2-acre residential lot, so about 0.8 hectares, from an existing 100-acre 40.4 hectare lot. The proposed severed residential lot will remain zoned agricultural A1, and the proposed retained lot became zoned agricultural no dwelling NDA A if approved today by committee, which was previously approved by council. As I have stated in the council meeting, this proposed consent does not achieve PPS policy for a surplus farm dwelling severance, as the owner does not own surplus farms as a result of a farm consolidation. Planning staff strongly recommend against the severance application. Site photos taken from the road of the property. This is of the single detached dwelling. This is a picture showing the neighboring property to the west. This is showing the existing storage sheds on the property. And this is showing an existing storage barn on the property. This is an aerial photo of the subject property, which shows the property zoned agricultural 1A1, and then a small section of it zoned environmental protection woodlot in the back. This is a aerial photo showing the proposed severance. So in the pink is the proposed severed lot, which is about to be 1.03 hectares to 2.49 acres. And then you got the retained in the blue, which is, if approved today by council, would be zoned agricultural no dwelling. So upon review of this application, planning staff find that this proposal does not comply with the applicable policies, being the Planning Act, provincial policy statement, the County of Lambton official plan, Warwick official plan, and zoning bylaw. The provincial policy statement clearly states that all relevant policies to this application must be met to conform to the PPS. And Section 3 of the Planning Act also requires that all applications should be consistent with policies under the PPS. This application does not meet the provisions to permit a surplus farm dwelling severance, as the applicant does not own any additional farm properties in Warwick. And I've referenced the specific sections where that comes from. Section 2.3.4.1C and 4.2.1A of the PPS. 2.3.4.1 of the PPS, 4.2.1A of the County of Lambton official plan, and 1.11D of the Township of Warwick official plan. Plan staff recommend that the Township of Warwick deny the severance application B01-2024 for the following reasons. We find that this proposal is not consistent with the policies contained in the Planning Act, provincial policy statement. The intent of the county official plan is not maintained. The intent of the Warwick official plan is not maintained, and the intent of the Township of Warwick zoning bylaw is not maintained. I also want to bring up a point that this application was approved previously by council. So if Committee of Adjustment goes against my recommendation today, I have included some conditions that we're going to have to set if committee were to go that way. So if the Warwick Committee of Adjustment goes against my recommendations, here are the conditions that need to be implemented for approval. Number one, that a copy of the deed and reference plan be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer in digital format, and if available, and probably georeferenced to the NAD 83 UTM zone 17 coordinate system, and also in a form suitable to registration. Also, that a deed stamping fee of $250 be paid to the Township of Warwick by cash or check. And third, that all conditions be fulfilled within 2 years of the notice of decision of consent, and that the certificate of consent required by Section 5342 of the Planning Act be obtained within 2 years of the notice of decision of the consent. The township will endeavor to send an applicant a reminder that the provisional consent is approaching its lapsing date. However, each applicant is responsible for ensuring that the provisional consent does not lapse. If the provisional consent does not lapse, meaning the deeds have not been stamped within 2 years of the notice of the decision of the consent, a new application will be required. There is no provision in the Planning Act for extensions for provisional consents, just so you're aware. Fourth condition, that the applicants enter an agreement with the Township of Warwick for the apportionment of drainage assessments on the involved properties. And the last condition, that the access routes to the lands be reviewed and upgraded if required at the cost of the applicant. Thank you for my time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. John or Annette, do you have any comments to make?
A little closer so you can hear me. Yeah, I don't know if everybody was at the meeting that we were at the last. Okay, that's what I didn't know. Okay. Well, my name is Annette Van Dinther, my husband, John Van Dinther. Thank you for letting us talk to you today about it. So our request for severance, we built our house in 1989 on the 100-acre farm, as you know, on a farm where I was born and raised. And since then, John and I, married 44 years, has been our home. Our main home. Since we built our house, we've maintained it very well. We have consistently done renovations to it, both in the house and the yard. So I do think it is a very well taken care of house. At present, we are, just so you know, and I know this had nothing to do with this, we are decommissioning the manure pit that we have for safety reasons. We didn't want it there anymore. And we are also getting rid of the old barn that you said, the storage, which used to be our chicken barn. We have to keep a part of it though, because our water pump is in the front side. So we're going to get rid of more than half of that barn. We were going to do it anyways, but this is just kind of getting us to do it a little sooner. So why are we asking for severance? Well, we're retired now and we want the flexibility to stay in this home. If we sell, we don't want to have to sell the whole thing. We would like to have the opportunity to stay in our house. And the other thing too is we do have children, and if we move on, the opportunity that they can stay in that house as well. So that's any other reasons you want to add?
Maybe you got it written down.
Yeah. So the other concern, and I know there's the plans and the rules, and I get that it's always rules, but sometimes you have to look at common sense. So if we can't sever this, and if we want to sell, we have to sell the whole thing. So right now, anybody who would buy this property, as you know, I mean, it's large farmers come into play here. Most of them have their own home.
Surplus dwellings.
So that would be the surplus dwelling. So if we don't sever it and we have to sell it, guaranteed, it will be severed. It's just not us that's severing it.
Is that right, Mr. Planner? Is that how the law is?
Somebody else could if they have a surplus house.
Through the chair, if they were to sell it to somebody else who had surplus farms in the area, they would be permitted to sell it. And that's how the rules in the provincial policy statement are framed.
So my thinking is, it doesn't make sense. I mean, if it's probably gonna be severed. So why are we not allowed to sever it? That's one of the concerns that we have.
Yeah, so through the chair, sorry.
And
Go ahead.
it's the common sense side of it. And the governments right now are crying for additional housing, and they're saying, you know, we need to have more homes for people. And I don't understand why this becomes such an issue. I know there's rules, I get that. But like I said, just understanding why some of these rules are in place.
Through the chair, the provincial policy statement sets in stone that severances for residential lots are not permitted in the agricultural area. And the surplus farm dwelling severance allowance is an exception to the rule. So what the province does not want is a bunch of residential lots being created in the agricultural area because it prevents the farming community and the bona fide farmer from expanding their farming operation. With minimum distance separation, so the separation distance from the farm operation to the house, once it becomes a residential lot, that number gets more strict. So it minimizes what the farmer's able to do once a residential lot comes on there. So the rules in place are to protect the farmer. I understand in a practical sense of selling the lot that it's not fair for people, but that's just the way the rules are to protect the farming community. If that makes more sense.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's really, that's really the main. I really don't have much more to add other than, like I said, it's
And on Burnham Line, there's pretty near I'd say 90% of Burnham line, everyone has a severance on the Burnham line. Everyone,
Already.
pretty well. You guys allowed 3 years ago,
Or
Jim
no.
just brought up at the last meeting, Rick Smith, you guys gave him 3 acres allowed, you know what I mean, for a severance. He didn't have a surplus dwelling, so fair is fair. That's also, I gotta bring this up because fair is fair, right?
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any questions for us? No.
Just stay there and push the button.
Okay.
There probably will be, but if anybody from the public has any comments to make on this application, if you want to, please state your name and come up to the front and use the microphone. Ed?
Thank you. My name's Eddie Wooters, 7165 First School Road. And that's my first cousin. So Mike, I have no objections to this, what they're asking for. My concern was about if you needed a second dwelling, because I've executed this years ago next door to them. And I agree what John just said about Mr. Smith, because I don't know if I know he got his farm severed. I'm not aware that he has a second dwelling. And that's what I wanted to know. If you're gonna apply for a permit, sir, do you have to have a second dwelling in the county? Or you could have it anywhere in Ontario? Do you know that or not?
Are you talking about like an additional second dwelling
Yes.
without the severance?
No, if you're gonna apply for a severance, because you got additional proper homes. Thank you, that's the proper word. So you apply for it. I have a second dwelling in Northern Ontario. Can I apply for that permit here in Lambton County? In their case, if say they own a second dwelling. I know that, that's what I want to know.
It's a surplus farm dwelling severance, so it's not
Okay.
a second dwelling in a residential area, it's a.
Now I
farm.
understand. It has to be a farm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I missed that. I apologize. So that's all I need to know.
Oh, no worries, yeah, that's just why I was just clearing it up.
But as Mr. Van Dinter said about Mr. Smith, I like that question answered. Whoever's chairing this meeting.
I can answer that question. The policy may have been different with Mr. Smith. It's changed.
From
I don't-
2 years ago, sir?
Yeah, it's changed a couple of times. Trust me.
With the Land Division Committee or whoever they are?
Oh, provincial government.
Well, whenever Mr. Smith applied for, I know it takes time to get that started. So, no, that's a disappointment. It really is, because I echo a next comment. It's a tax-based revenue. Who cares? If someone wants to buy a house out in the community and Mr. Van Kessel's here is spreading poop, and if you don't like it, don't move there. I mean, it's just common sense, but that's all I need to say. But I like that answer about Mr. Smith, but boy, but the rules being changed so quickly within 3 to 4 years. Why? Because of COVID? Come on. That's all I got
I don't
to
work
say.
for the provincial government.
That's all I got to say. I find that a disappointment. That's all. Guess what? I will never run for.
Yes, sir. Come on out. Yep.
I'm Jim Brannon. I'm John's neighbor, known him all my life. And I know laws are laws, and it's time the planning committee took a look at some of the laws that govern our township and our zoning in it. And Canada has a housing crisis, and this makes no sense whatsoever that this couple can't sever their house and do whatever they want to do with it. So I just wanted to say, as a neighbor, I support them in their effort. And I think the planning committee should look at some of our laws, and you're hindering housing in Canada, not enhancing it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll now ask the committee if they have any questions. Wayne?
As much question as comment, are you guys thinking seriously about selling the farm in the near future then?
We don't know. I mean, we're retired. The other part of it is succession planning as well, right?
Yeah.
We're working with that as well. I mean, anything can happen tomorrow. We could become very sick. We just want the flexibility that if we do decide to sell, we don't have to sell the whole thing. We can sell the land separate from the house. Yeah.
Because we really would like to live there, you know, man, we love it there. We'd like to live there, right?
Yeah.
It was 10 years, you know what I mean, or whatever, but so we have, like Annette said, we have the flexibility of selling the farm, but staying there.
The other question I guess I have a comment is for the planner. You use the term bona fide farmer in your report. I take a little bit of offense to that. Not every farmer in Warwick is a livestock farmer that has to worry about the Nutrient Management Act. Not every farm that's going to be sold in Warwick Township is going to have a livestock barn thrown up instantly. We have to consider that it could stay just a cash crop farm, that there would be no problem with the Nutrient Management Act. I have no problem against severances. What we did in the past, you're right, with Rick Smith, is in the past, they've changed the rules. Whether it was right or wrong at the time, wasn't on, I'm not going to make that kind of decision. But one thing I will state that I don't know if the planners told you or not, but if the severance is accepted, the province and the county can appeal it. That's what that appeal period was. If they do appeal it, our hands are pretty well tied. We would never succeed in a court case. Just so you understand. Thank you.
And Dave?
Can I?
Oh.
Yeah, can I? So is that, have you ever run into this before? Is that very common then, that this appeal that they would, okay, you don't know, okay. No experience that way, okay, thank you.
Dave or John? Any questions, comments? As there's no further questions, the committee hereby closes this portion of the meeting. Notice of decision will be mailed out within 10 days from the date of the committee's decision. The appeal period is 20 days after the date the decision is mailed. After that date, if there are no appeals filed, then the application becomes final and the property owner will be sent a notice. Thanks everyone for attending. Committee, how do you feel to move on this?
I would like to make the motion that the Committee of Adjustment accept the application of Annette Van Dither B01-24
With the conditions,
with conditions.
do I have a seconder for that motion?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Motion carried. That's it for that one. Okay, third and final. Public notice severance application, Land Committee Division, application number B-02-24. Take notice that an application has been made by Kernelson Poultry Inc., agent Jonathan Barrett, solicitor, owner of 8899 and 8965 Zion Line to sever two 100-acre farm parcels from a 200-acre farm parcel. And further take notice that the Land Division Committee for the Township of Warwick is appointed Tuesday, August 13th, 2024 at 3 p.m. for the purpose of a public hearing into this matter. The meeting will take place in person at the Township of Warwick Municipal Office, 5280 Nauvoo Road, Watford. The meeting will also be live streamed on the Township YouTube channel. We'll ask Heather to read the dates and places notice for public meeting.
Notices were sent by regular mail and posted on the property on July 24th, 2024.
I'll ask Heather to read any letters, submission supporting or opposing the application.
There were two received. The Conservation Authority has no concerns with the application, and Enbridge had the same comments as they did for the Van Dinthers.
Thank you. I'll ask the planner to read his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and members of the public. I'm presenting on application number B02 2024 for 8899 and 8965 Zion Line. So today we got a farm severance proposal. The applicant is Cornelison Poultry and their agent is Mackenzie Lake Lawyers. The location is, again, as I mentioned, 889 and 8965 Zion Line. They are both adjacent properties right next to each other. So the applicant wishes to sever approximately 81 hectares, so about 200 acre agricultural parcel into approximately two separate 40 hectare, 100 acre parcels as the property has become merged on title. This property currently has two addresses and two separate assessment roll numbers. This proposal would return to the lots to their original parcel dimensions. So upon visiting the property, this is the site for the property from the road on 8899 Zion Line. This is the site photo of the property on 8965 Zion Line. And this is a photo of the property across from 8899 Zion Line. And then the property across from 8965 Zion Line. This is an aerial photo that shows the two lots that are separated from each other, that are merged on title, my apologies, currently. So you got 889 and 8965. 8965 being on the east side of Zion Line. And this is the diagram that's going to show the proposed severance. So the severed parcel is going to be in the pink and the retained will be in the blue. So essentially that's showing the farm split. Planning staff found that this proposal complies with all applicable policies, including the Planning Act, provincial policy statement, County of Lambton official plan, Warwick official plan, and zoning bylaw regulations. Section 1.4 of the Township of Warwick official plan requires the minimum farm size for lots to be a minimum of 38 hectares. This severance proposal meets this section as both lots will well exceed the 38 hectares. So you got no issues with minimum farm size. Section 1.6 of the Warwick official plan also requires the creation of new lots in the agricultural area to meet MDS requirements. In this case, we don't have MDS2 requirements that are needed for this severance, as the proposed and severed lots have existing barns with no homes on them, which exempts them from these MDS 1 and 2 requirements. Upon recommendation, staff recommend that the Township of Warwick Committee of Adjustment approve this severance application B02 2024, subject to the following conditions. First condition being that a copy of the deed and reference plan be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer in digital format, if available and properly georeferenced to the NAD 83 UTM Zone 17 coordinate system, and also in a form suitable for registration. And second, that a deed stamping fee of $250 be paid to the Township of Warwick by cash or check. Third condition is that all conditions be fulfilled within 2 years of the notice of decision of this consent, and that the certificate of consent required by section 5342 of the Planning Act be obtained within 2 years of the notice of decision of this consent. This township will endeavor to send the applicant a reminder that the provisional consent is approaching its lapsing date. It's important, however, that each applicant is responsible for ensuring that the provisional consent date does not lapse. If the provisional consent does lapse, meaning the deeds have not been stamped within 2 years of the notice of decision of the consent, a new application will be required. There is no provision in the Planning Act for extensions to prevent provisional consents. Fourth condition being that the applicant entered an agreement with the Township of Warwick for the apportionment of drainage assessments on the involved properties. And fifth, that the access routes to the lands be reviewed and upgraded if required at the cost of the applicant. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Do you have any comments?
I don't have any comments. I'm in agreement with what Jared said, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, does anybody on the committee have any questions? No? I guess you're getting off easy. Anybody in attendance? I don't think you are, Mike, so. As there's no further questions, the committee hereby closes this portion of the meeting. Notice of decision will be mailed out within 10 days from the date of the committee's decision. The appeal period is 20 days after the date the decision is mailed. After that date, if there are no appeals filed, then the application becomes final and the property owner will be sent a notice. Thanks everyone for attending. And committee, how do you want to proceed with this application? Wayne,
I make a motion this severance application be accepted
with the conditions?
with the conditions.
Dave Deuce, seconder. All those in favor? Motion carried. Any other business? No. Motion to adjourn, Wayne?
Adjourn.
Sean, thank you.